Welcome back and thanks for joining me, as today I am going to be making vegan salami. This should be a pretty simple recipe, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing for this recipe is that there's going to be 3 portions in this. There's going to be a fat, there's a dry ingredient for the red meat, and wet ingredients for the red meat. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the fat portion of the recipe. Get some vital wheat gluten. It's going to help hold everything together. Get some cornstarch. We got some onion powder. We get some oil. Okay, so that's the ingredients for the fat. What I'm going to do is combine that all into a bowl, and I'm going to knead that for about a minute or two, and then just let it set aside while I get together the next ingredients for the dry and the wet red meat. But first, let's go ahead and see the ingredients for this fat. Okay, so this is about what we're looking for in terms of the fat. So we're going to just go ahead and set this aside. So we need some onion powder, some garlic powder, some smoked paprika. We have some cayenne pepper. And we have some vital wheat gluten. And we got some oil, just using a kind of neutral oil. I'm going to use one of these veggie bouillon cubes. And I want to incorporate some umami in this, so I'm just going to add a little bit of mushroom powder. We got some salt. and some maple syrup. We have some apple cider vinegar. And we have some liquid smoke. And then we have some beets, which are going to add some nice color to this. Okay, so this next step, I have seen it done a few different ways. I have seen the dry ingredients put in a bowl, mixed up together, and then adding in the wet ingredients and just mixing it by hand and kneading it. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to take the beets and I'm going to add it to the food processor so that way that gets blended up nice and small. Then I'm going to add in the rest of the dry ingredients so that way it mixes well. And then finally I'm going to add in the liquid ingredients and then just blend that together so that way we have the meat dough together. All right, and so this is what we're left with for the red meat. Just going to knead it for a couple minutes here. And when this is all done, I will go ahead and work on bringing together the fat and the meat and move into the final steps before we cook this off. Okay, so at this point with the fat and the meat done, what I have to do is I have to put this together in a way where it's going to give that marbling effect between the fat and the meat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and stretch out the fat and I'm going to cut it up into pieces, and then I'm going to knead that into the meat. All right, and so basically we're just gonna keep doing this until we've incorporated all of the fat pieces. Okay, so all of the fat is incorporated in here. So I'm just working through to make sure that it's completely sealed. Making sure that the fat and the meat is well combined. So that way when it comes out as a final product, it doesn't separate the fat from the meat. And so you can see the main way of doing that is just making a dough ball and kind of kneading it down some and kind of bringing it back together, back into that dough ball, kneading it down, back into a dough ball, and then you're just going to shape it into the size of the meat that you want to have to slice. Now it's going to expand a little bit when it cooks, so go a little bit smaller than how you actually want it to be. And basically, if you think back of my pepperoni videos, I made that the size of a sausage. So really kind of keep this anywhere bigger than the pepperoni that we made together. Something about that size. And then what I'm going to do is get this ready to cook. Now, when it comes to cooking this, first I'm going to wrap it in some wax paper and some aluminum foil. And I'm going to cook it at about 350 degrees, about an hour and a half. But before you wrap it, you can get all sorts of creative. You can add a little bit of oil to the wax paper, add some pepper and have like a pepper crusted salami. You could add some herbs, like Italian herbs, some oregano, parsley, thyme, that kind of thing, and have that on the outside. That's the direction I'm gonna go with. Just add a little bit there, wrap it up nice and tight, and start cooking it. All right, and there we go. We have our salami, and it is going to go in the oven now. All right, everybody, so we have the salami all finished off. And overall, I would say that this came out pretty good. I like the salami, it has good flavor. I think that the fat mixture and the meat mixture, it worked well, it blended pretty well together. And the fat mixture is a little bit chewier than the meat mixture, which is great, because that's what you would normally get if you were having it from animal. I like the heat intensity, that's pretty good. I do think that there's some changes that could be made to this to tweak the flavor a little bit, that would elevate it a little bit more. Maybe adding in some nutritional yeast, maybe a little bit more garlic, and maybe some tomato. And I think that those additions would really go a long way in making this salami that much better, and just that much more of a great seitan vegan salami. I'm going to play around with this, make another one, and share it with you, because I think that this is a great one to start with and something that you would certainly enjoy. But why settle when we can have better? So I'm going to take a look at that and play around with making some more vegan meats and some more comfort foods, because I'm your friend with food benefits. And I will see you again real soon.